Again, children, Nana Janet here. I've got an old English tale for you that we all know, that I read to your mummies and daddies and my children. So now for my grandchildren, and Jude, Abraham, Chad, Rachel, Mary, Nehemiah, Rose, and all the other little grandchildren can hear famous story, Little Red Riding Hood. It's an English folk tale. I'm sure you've heard it before. There was once a little girl who lived in the middle of a deep, dark forest with her mother and father, who was a woodcutter. The little girl always wore a red cloak with a hood, and so she was called Little Red Riding Hood. One day she decided to visit her granny, who lived some way from the woodcutter's cottage. She took a basket with a cake her mother had baked and set off. Now the last thing her mother had said to Little Red Riding Hood was, "Don't leave the path and don't talk to any strangers." But Little Red Riding Hood was not really listening. So when she saw some bluebells growing under a tree, she left the path and began to pick a bunch for her granny. Slowly, slowly, she wandered further away from the path, deeper into the trees. Suddenly, she was not alone. There in front of her stood a great big wolf. Now Little Red Riding Hood had not met a wolf before, so she did not realize that wolves are not the kind of animals to be friendly with. "Good day, little girl," said the wolf with a snarly sort of smile. "What is your name and where are you going?" "My name is Little Red Riding Hood. I am going to visit my granny and I'm taking her a cake to eat," replied Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf was delighted. Not only a little girl to eat, but a granny and a cake as well. "And where does your granny live, little girl?" asked the wolf, trying hard to smile nicely despite his fierce teeth. Little Red Riding Hood told the wolf where her granny lived and went on picking bluebells. The wolf slipped away through the trees and soon found the granny's cottage. He tapped on the door and said in a disguised voice, "Hello, Granny, it's Little Riding Hood here. I brought you a cake. Will you let me in?" As soon as the door was open, the wolf bounded in and gobbled the granny all up. He put on her nightcap and shawl and climbed into her bed. Soon he heard Little Red Riding Hood coming, and he tried his snarly smile again. "Hello, Granny," said Little Red Riding Hood. "I brought you a cake and these bluebells." And she came up to the bedside. "Goodness, Granny, what great big eyes you have," she said. "All the better to see you with," growled the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood could not help noticing the wolf's teeth. "Goodness, Granny, what great big teeth you have." "All the better to eat you with," snapped the wolf, and gobbled up Little Red Riding Hood. He gobbled up the cake in the basket as well, and then, very full indeed, he fell fast asleep, snoring loudly. Now, by great good luck, Little Red Riding Hood Oh dear, I have to turn over the page. Little Red Riding Hood's father was passing by the cottage when he heard the terrible snores. He put his head round the door to see who was making such a noise. He was horrified to see the wolf, so he took his axe and made a great slit down the wolf's tummy. Out jumped Little Red Riding Hood and Granny. She stitched up the wolf's tummy and told him to mind his manners in future, as there was no cake left for tea. They all went back home, and Little Red Riding Hood's mother made pancakes. I am pleased to say Little Red Riding Hood had learnt her lesson, and she never spoke to wolves again. That is the end, children. Actually, it was slightly different to the ones that I heard as a youngster and the ones that we read to my kids. But it's got a nice turn in it at the very end, hasn't it? At least it's a happy ending. Anyway, that's all for now, and maybe the next one's going to be Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I wonder if they changed that a bit. All right, love you all. God bless. Bye-bye. See you soon. Bye-bye.